Just a few more minutes, everyone, and we'll get started. If you know that you have some questions already that you brought, you can bring them to the Q&A. You should have a button on your Zoom platform that lets you drop questions. If you haven't done a Zoom webinar before, it's usually where like the chat is in the Zoom meeting. And I'm able to see the questions and I can post them there. But we'll get started in just a minute here. It's nice to see so many people joining in the middle of the day. This is my first time using the webinar platform from Zoom, so I'm hoping it works well. I can see the captioning is so-so. So I don't know if all of you can see the live captioning, but I have it set up just in case we have some deaf clients come. All right, guys, we have a minute to go, and then we'll get started. I hope everyone's enjoying their Monday afternoon. Thank you, Jen, for letting me know. Captions are on. Excellent. It's nice when technology works. All right, we are at 3:30, so let's get started. I know everyone has a busy afternoon, wants to get back to it. So I'm Emily Wallace from Thrive Fit Coaching. I'm the coach and the CEO there, and I'm hosting this webinar. I invited a mix of clients and I posted this on Eventbrite. So I'm just gonna go through a little bit about me and my service before we start, and then we're gonna jump right in. So the first, okay, there we go. Thrive Fit. Here I am. Here's my creds. I have a background in functional strength training, and my studies in nutrition were from Precision Nutrition, which I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but it's a program that focuses mostly on behavioral sciences and change behavior. So that's my background for nutrition, and I'm also a certified sleep science coach, and I have sleep coaching integrated into my coaching programs, both fitness and for the for nutrition. One second, I'm getting a message here. Hold on. Oh, people and their tech issues. Let me grab the link here. We have one more person trying to get in. Okay. Gosh, things are so set up so different on the webinar that I cannot find my info thing. Let me try it this way here. Show meeting invite, and sorry guys. Let me just pop this into the chat. Okay. All right, back to my presentation. Let me share that. All right. So here's my coaching philosophy. Basically, my coaching practice is focused on client-centered coaching. So clients bring their own goals and we work on their goals, not mine. we use a dialectic type of dialoguing to help people get to their goals. And like I was saying before, I had the little tech thing. I've integrated sleep coaching into my practice. And so basically, I would say these statements about my philosophy are basically kind of lead me to this type of ideal client that really has been trying to work on their goals, but is probably a little frustrated, has tried a lot of other diets, and is like not that's not working for them, and they're really just kind of looking for one more thing to try, and that's usually when they find me. So I work with a lot of clients who like have goals but have half given up on them or kind of resistant to them, and they're a really good fit for me because my specialty in training is change behavior, and so that works really good for people who are kind of resistant to change or feel frustrated because they've tried to change on their own, but haven't yet. So, and sleep optimization is really important for seeing results for weight loss and for working out, like building muscle, losing fat, that type of thing that you're trying to move better and eat better. A lot of our results come from how well we're sleeping. And sleep optimization, a lot of people don't know, is a lot more than just like laying in bed for 8 hours. So that's something I like to work with clients and get them sleeping really good, moving good, and eating good. Okay. All right. So let's jump in to the topic. So we want to talk about getting back on track, rebooting our new year. This, I put how to get back on track now and always because this reboot technique and the strategy we're going to talk about, it'll work anytime you need to reboot. Come back from vacation, you're injured in the gym, you have to take a month off, anything that interrupts your on track, like eating and working out, going about it in this plan will work for any of those. So the first thing I want to do is a rock review, which is these fundamentals of healthy eating. And there's other important parts of healthy eating, but specifically for healthy eating for weight loss. These are the five biggest biggest components of eating for weight loss, and we're going to go through each of them as a review. I'm going to hit like the important highlights of why they're the rock, why they're important, and then also talk about how do we incorporate that? Like, how do we do it? So we will start with number one, eating slowly. So eating slowly and eating 80%, the first two rocks, they're behavioral and they fall under the category of mindfulness. So why do we eat slowly, and why do we eat slowly, especially for weight loss? Well, when we eat, our gut starts suppressing this hormone called ghrelin, and this controls our hunger and it makes us feel fuller. So protein as a core nutrient, macronutrient that we eat, it is what lets our brain know that we're full. And so that helps us feel full and it helps us to know when to stop eating. So obviously, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to expend more energy than you take in. And so eating something that makes you less hungry and helps suppress your appetite is really going to be a very helpful tool or a rock to your weight loss. And so eating slowly is going to be really important for that. And a lot of times when we get into like this time of year, like holidays, or the other times, like special events, vacations, trips, business trips, we do tend to eat a bit faster because we're distracted. We have people over, maybe we're watching TV, things like that that are so much fun to like do that are unusual. And then that's when we start picking up the pace and we just kind of eat on autopilot. We're not really mindful about what we're eating. We're not engaging in it. And so the other reason why eating slowly is because that signal in your brain that lets you know that you're approaching full, that takes about 20 minutes. So slowing your intake down is going to allow your body time to do that. So this is one of the foundational principles of eating, because if you are able to do this, you will always be able to kind of know where you're at and not overeat, which overeating and taking in those extra calories is what causes weight gain. So eat slowly, eat what you like, but go slow. And then here's how to do it. Basically, try to add a few minutes to your meals to train yourself. Like you don't have to do these all the times, but if you're new to this or you're getting back at it, using these as cues to train yourself to get back in the habit. So eating without distractions, waiting a few minutes between bites, using a timer, using your non-dominant hand. That always helps me because my dogs, I'm very clumsy with my non-dominant hand, and my dogs always help me out because I drop a lot of food when I do that. But putting your utensils down between bites, basically doing what you can to slow everything down to that point where you can kind of be aware of what you are taking in. And this time of year, like there's always a lot of special food around. And so eating slowly is also kind of nice because you can taste every bite and you can eat and it's more pleasurable. So that's another reason why it's great to eat slowly. All right, then eating to 80%. This one is sort of a construct, okay, because it's not like a literal 80%. It's basically this concept of like eating before you're full. Now, you would be eating a little bit less than you normally would. And it also means to eat to satisfaction, but not fullness. And again, that ability to understand the body signaling and it's telling you when it's satisfied and full, that has to do with self awareness. So you have to be fairly aware of how your body is sensing food when you eat it to be able to eat to 80%. So that's why eating slowly precedes this practice. So when you're eating, you want to eat to that point where you're just like, you know what, I'm good, I feel satisfied, but you don't feel full, like that pressure pushing against your abdomen when you're like, oh, I'm so full, and your abdomen actually distends because you are in fact full. So when you eat till fullness, that usually maintains or adds weight because you've eaten or overeaten. And if you're eating under that, where you're just satisfied, you're generally eating for fat loss because you are just taking in less than you normally would. That helps to create that deficit. How do we do it? So again, be slow, eating slowly and mindfully, and kind of on the lookout for that signal. And then a few things you can do, which is like when you go to take your plate, you can leave a couple bites out on your meal, out of your meal on your plate. You could eat on a smaller plate than you normally do. I think the dinner plate is like around 12 inches. You could eat on a 9-inch plate. You could eat on a salad plate. You could eat on that smaller plate and then take a break, check in with yourself, see how you feel before you go back for seconds. And then you could also set a timer and then just like wait it out before you go for seconds. If you're getting takeout, you could just order a half size or have them box up half of the meal. So those are some tricks on how to kind of get into the habit of eating at that 80% where you're just satisfied but not yet full. All right, so those are the two behavioral rocks: eating mindfully and slowly, and then eating to 80%. And so this time of year, we've gotten off of that. Those are two behavioral things you can do immediately after we get off the call. You can start doing that right away. And we haven't even really talked about like what to eat yet. Like what are the rocks of that? So it's nice to be able to have something that you can take action on throughout the next week, because I know like there's still New Year's and you might be going either out or you might still have family. And so you may not have as much control over what food's in the house, but you do have control over how fast you eat it and how much. And so these two techniques can help you kind of get going on your reboot right away. All right, so let's talk about our next big one. That is eating lean protein at every meal and snack. This is a huge rock for healthy eating and for weight loss. So let's look at why. So a high protein intake suppresses the appetite and it reduces the amount of that ghrelin hormone. So you feel less hungry. And then when you do eat, you feel fuller longer. So that is a huge help. When you are eating more protein and feeling fuller longer, and you are, your appetite, you're not feeling as hungry, you'll take in fewer calories overall throughout your day, and that's a huge support for weight loss. So that's a one primary reason why we do it for appetite control. The other thing that's really interesting about protein is um, it takes quite a bit of calories to burn up protein to metabolize it. And so every macronutrient, so protein, carbs, and fat, you eat them and then to digest them, your body has to expend some calories to break it down. Your body expends the most calories eating protein, and the estimates are somewhere between 20 or 30%. So think about what that means. 100 calories of protein eaten results in 70 calories absorbed. So that's very efficient. I mean, that's excellent for weight loss. So you want to be eating more protein if you are trying to lose or manage weight loss, because it's filling, it keeps you fuller longer, and it burns more calories. So that's a easier. I mean, you know how long it would take you to burn 30% of your calories through working out, and you could just eat your protein. So it is very efficient, and it definitely one of our number one um, rocks for weight loss. All right, so how to do it? So we have a challenge with eating. Yes, protein, like it's great. It helps us feel full or longer. It suppresses the appetite. It burns more calories when we eat it, but it is hard to access because it's usually raw and it's not very convenient. And this is why sometimes when, you know, we get home and we're tired from work, or we're rushing, like we grab the frozen pizza, we grab something we grab takeout because those things are convenient and they're easily prepared. To successfully increase your protein intake, you need to spend some time prepping it so that it becomes convenient. You want to create opportunities to eat protein by prepping in advance. So that is the number one thing. Like, how do you eat more protein? You prep, prep, prep. So, aside from that, here are a few of the easiest, like fastest proteins to prep. And these are really good things to just keep in mind about how to get your protein intake in. And of course, the lean protein is going to be your bulk of your protein intake. You want it to be from lean meat. So rotisserie chickens are great because they are already cooked. They have a nice mix of light and dark meat. You can chop them up for your lunches, or you can shred the whole bird and then you can make chicken salad out of it, or you can shred it for tacos, or you can have it as a salad topper. It's very versatile. And so if you're in a pinch, or if you just like you don't have the energy on Sunday, or you're coming back from a vacation, or your family's taking off after the holidays, just do yourself a favor and go grab a couple rotisserie chickens, shred them, and either make some chicken salad out of it or just have that there for the week. Get some veggies, get some salad. That's going to be an easy way to go. Hard boiled eggs for snacks, they're great. Protein on the go, you can make egg salad. Chicken breast in the crock pot and shredded. That would be good for basically the same uses as the rotisserie chicken, but you can also make tacos out of them, like for family dinners and stuff. Plain Greek yogurt is really excellent. It has like 20 grams of protein a cup. So you can do it for smoothies. You eat it as a snack. You know, it's a pretty substantial amount of protein. So having Greek yogurt, adding your own fruit and your own sweetener like maple syrup, something like that is going to really fill you up and help you get a huge chunk of your protein in every day. And then, of course, you have the option for a protein powder. A protein powder is a more processed type of protein, but you can find high quality protein powders like um, collagen protein. You can get pea protein. What you want to do is look for a minimally processed protein powder, something without added sugars. And that could be another type of fast protein. And another way, also, if you're eating mostly whole foods and you're getting in your protein there, that's a great way to just add that on as a little extra. Okay, the next one is veggies. Um, these tend to go out of the diet really fast. People usually, when we get off track, getting off track with veggies is a big thing because they also need some finessing, I would say they are more accessible to eat than protein because you can eat some of them raw, but the amount, like 4 to 6 servings of veggies a day, is really hard for a lot of people. But they're important, and here's why. Because the vegetables are a primary source of dietary fiber. They're really important when it comes to weight loss, um, health in general, but they are also veggies are a very high volume and low in calories. So when we're dieting, we want to create a calorie deficit so we can lose the weight, but we don't want to be hungry. Hunger is the enemy of weight loss. And so high volume, low calorie veggies are a crucial part of that. And the other thing is weight loss also comes down to, the gut and absorption of nutrients and processing and metabolizing food. And when your gut is not working well, it's very hard to lose weight. And so one thing with vegetables is that they're prebiotic and they help keep your flora and your gut microbiome in good shape, which really helps you with weight management and weight loss. And so how to do it? Well, everyone knows how to eat veggies, but this is really like how do you get that to that like 4 to 6 servings? Because everyone has like a veggie here or there. I know some people who don't eat vegetables, and it is not hard to not eat vegetables in a day, but most people can get one in, and the challenge is really getting that maximum like 4 to 6. So you got to kind of pepper it in throughout the day and sneak it in where you can. So most clients and most people who successfully hit that 6 serving mark start their day with a serving or two of veggies. So you have to kind of start early. If you wait to start eating vegetables at dinner, you're never going to make it. So get started as soon as you can and find some veggies that you like to have for breakfast and try to have a serving of veggies with breakfast. Another great way to get some veggies in is to sneak them into shakes. So, if you're having a protein shake or if you're having another kind of shake with either a protein mix or like a yogurt shake or cottage cheese, throwing in a couple cups of veggies, like 2 handfuls of spinach or a cup of kale, and putting in some fruit and maybe a little sweetener if you need it, that is going to be a really huge add because now you have veggies, you have a veggie down for breakfast, you have 2 cups of veggies in your smoothie, you only have 2 to 3 to go. And so that is really kind of the main 2 hacks would be to get some in a smoothie every day and then also start your breakfast with a veggie. So not all veggies are equal. The cruciferous vegetables, when it comes to weight loss, cruciferous vegetables are a powerhouse. They have more protein than all the other veggies, so you're supporting your protein goals. They're very filling. But then also they have more fiber. So 1 cup of broccoli is not the same amount of fiber as 1 cup of spinach. And so really, if you are trying to lose weight and you're trying to like maximize your veggies every day, getting the cruciferous vegetables in. And here's the other thing about cruciferous. I said broccoli. It is the cruciferous vegetable, sort of iconic. But there's actually like dozens of cruciferous vegetables. So if you're like, oh God, not more broccoli, there's a lot. So I have a list. Just want to run through a couple with you. But there's like broccoli, broccoli rabe, broccolini, kohlrabi. There are turnips, cabbages. All the cabbages are wonderful. Cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, rutabaga, rapini, arugula, radishes. So really taking a look at the cruciferous vegetables and start expanding your palate as far as they go. That can help you a lot too, because sometimes veggies can get boring. And so trying to learn new types of vegetables that you like, that can help you continue on eating them and keep them interesting. Okay, the other thing you can do is have some for snacks. I love this combination of taking like plain Greek yogurt and using a ranch seasoning packet to make my own like high protein ranch dip, and then chopping up like a cup or two of veggies. At that point, anything you want. So like carrots, celery, radishes, beet slices, anything, and eating it with your protein snack. I mean, that's an amazing snack too, because you're getting in like 20 grams of protein plus all your veggies. Okay, and so then what do you do if you're short a few vegetables for the day. Well, you can supplement with dietary fiber, and I put these down here at the bottom. So things like milled flax, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. These are the dietary fiber sources, and they're very good. They're a whole food. And so you can sprinkle them on your breakfast, throw them in your smoothie, sprinkle them on salads, however you like them, and they'll give you another, 5 or 10 grams of fiber a day. So that's vegetables. All right, so the fifth final rock, is reducing and eliminating the intake of processed foods. Why? Everyone knows why. We'll review it real quick though, because basically the two things we talked about before, protein and fiber, are usually stripped out of highly processed foods. And so highly processed foods don't have enough fiber in them to meet your dietary needs. They tend to have added sugars and other types of chemicals and preservatives to extend the shelf life of them, and not as much nutrients as whole food. That lack of fiber and the lack of protein in them also doesn't make us feel as full, so we do tend to overeat them. They are really easy to overeat. They processed foods sneak in really easily. They are usually, I don't know, they just, especially during this time of year, they don't know where they all come from, but there's like cookies and cake and all kinds of crazy stuff, biscuits, but they just love to come in and they are hard to get out. So, but this is one of the things that we'll talk about when we talk about doing a kitchen cleanup. We'll target these. Um, you may have noticed that one of the 5 rocks is not cutting carbs, because if you are getting your protein, you're eating the veggies, and you're eliminating and reducing the processed foods, basically all that's left for you to eat is complex carbohydrates, which are still more vegetables and grains. So you're going to take care of the carb stuff, and that doesn't need to be something you have to like super target as far as how much. So let's look at how to do that. This is sort of like a long list but I wasn't sure where everyone was starting from. So I would say if you are experienced and you're well on your health journey, maybe getting off track during this time of year just looked like getting a couple, like mine. I got a couple pies in, some biscuits, some ice cream. Those things came in the house, and so and we had some alcohol. So for me, that is going to just be taking these seasonal things out and going back to eating how I used to eat last week. And then for some of you, maybe you are newer on your fitness journey, your health journey. You haven't really gone through the sort of full transformation of going from processed to whole foods. So maybe you will want to go a bit slower. And so you can start with getting the liquid sugars out of the diet. So if you had alcohol, juice, soda, all that come into your house over the last few months, that would be a good place to start, because liquid sugars are not nutritious. There's no nutrient value to them, and they use up a ton of our calories, and they don't make us feel full. So that's usually the easiest place to start. And depending on how much, if you're having a juice every morning and a soda in the afternoon and a cocktail or red wine 3 times a week, that could be a huge weight loss win right there, because we're talking 1,000 calories. So, that is a good place to start, and just check and see if either you can reduce or eliminate your liquid sugar intake, or if it's creeped in. Track it, maybe get that out. Okay, the next thing is bread. Leveling up your bread intake. This is such a popular one with people, and everyone has to eat bread. I'm not one of those people who's like, no bread, because it's really enjoyable and it's a part of a lot of meals. So, but the thing is that not all bread is equal. So if you are a person who eats bread daily, you want to have your daily foundational bread be something that's benefiting you and helping you towards your goals. So Ezekiel bread is a great choice. Although I think I put it in here as a sprouted grain bread. Yeah, Ezekiel's the brand that I use, but sprouted grain breads, I know you can get them from other companies too, and they're excellent. They're not as processed, and they have a ton of fiber in them. The other one that is really good is sourdough. Sourdough can have up to 5 grams of protein in it. So if you look for a sourdough bread, I like this brand called Heidelberg. You can check it out and see, and it has a ton of protein in it. So aside from that, when you're looking at breads and selecting them, even the ones you make at home, still processed, still stripped of all their fiber, think about adding fiber or, you know, leveling them up, eating those occasionally, and then getting your staple breads to be something that is either high protein or high fiber. So the next thing to do would be the baked goods. Those, if they've crept into your house over the holidays and this time of year, those would be something to get out of and get out of the house and get back on track with eating them occasionally. Most people on a healthy diet, if you're eating primarily whole foods and you get your protein in, you have some wiggle room to enjoy a baked good every now and then. It's just that they, again, because they're processed, there's just not enough protein and fiber in them to really kind of satiate us. And so we do like to eat them. So let's say you've got all that done and now you're like, I got no baked goods, I have no liquid sugar, I got my Ezekiel bread. Now you take a look at what else is left in your freezer, in your cupboards that comes in boxes. What's in a box? Cookies, crackers, dinner mixes, pizza, frozen entrees. And then finally, watch out for things that come in boxes that are labeled healthy. Health foods, organic, GMO, gluten-free, all of these things, they're labeled in a way to appear healthy. You really need to read the nutrition label on the back of them to know if they are in fact healthy or not. So when you're reading that nutrition label, look to see if they have any protein in them, how much fiber do they have, and do they have added sugars. Take a look at the ingredients list, how many ingredients are in there. That will tell you whether it is really healthy or not, or what is kind of been the thing about like healthy junk food, healthy labeled junk food. So a lot of people are really surprised when they start reading the labels of food that's labeled healthy, and find that it's basically just junk, no matter even stuff that they think is labeled really, really good, even from brands that they like. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as once you get down to that point and you're like back on track, then from that point on, just like track the processed foods. And if it creeps back in, adjust it back out, adjust it to the level where you're still seeing results, you're still feeling good and healthy, and keep it sort of at bay. And that is kind of the path for the processed foods. Okay, so those are the rocks. Now, let's get into the reboot. Like, when are you going to do it? Are you going to start today? I hope so. Or are you going to start later? We'll look at like the pros and cons of that. So basically, there has been some studies on people's approach to getting back on track, or people's approach to starting a diet or whatever. And there have been trends that show who has been successful and who hasn't. And so I would suggest to you, based on facts that have been researched, to start as soon as possible, even if that just means a phased approach. So if you can kind of in your mind say, I'm going to start today, I'm going to start right now, you will begin to bring your awareness to that. The benefit of that is that you won't have a delay in the results. If you wait until later, your results won't begin until you start. So depending on if you are going to start next week, January 1st, February 1st, on Monday, on Friday, that is going to be kind of the thing that it kind of puts you at this risk for, like, we call it weekenditis or intent to diet. There was this really interesting study about what is the one like behavioral factor that really predicts weight gain. And it's this thing called intent to diet. And so this is, you may have done this. I mean, I've done this. People have done, like, this is a common thing where you're like, I'll start on Monday. I'll start my diet on Monday, or I'll start on the 1st. What ends up happening is that they intend to start on Monday, or they intend to start on the 1st. But between now and then, they go a little nuts with finishing off the food, having like a last hurrah, eating and drinking so much more than they ever would have if they had just like started now, that they then put on weight and don't really get motivated. And then that Monday like gets pushed back to like Wednesday and then the next week. Or they sort of get in this cycle where like they start on Monday, but then they get off track almost immediately because that Monday jump is like a little bit too strict because they had gone so dramatically off track while they were waiting for that date to start. So it doesn't happen every time. Now that you know about it, if you still choose to start on like the first or something, just know that that is a risk. So keep that in mind. So monitor your self talk. So if you say, I'm going to start on the first, okay, how do you feel about tonight, tomorrow, and the next day? Are you feeling like a little bit of pressure to eat the rest of the pie, eat all the ice cream, have like one more drink, two more drinks? So just keep that in mind that you can definitely take in so many calories before your diet starts that you actually gain more weight than you want to. And then you have to lose that plus whatever it was you were trying to get back on track with. So I do suggest finding one thing. So, like, if you said, okay, well, starting tonight, I'm going to start eating slowly. And then, you know, I'll eat to 80% after the first, and then I'm going to focus on, protein, this and that, all that stuff. Okay, that'd be great. Or if you're like, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to start on protein. I'm going to have a protein shake right after this call. And you know what? I'm going to have pie. I'll wash it down with the protein shake, or I'll have a cup of cottage cheese before I have my cookies or whatever like that. Anything like that is good. You can negotiate with yourself and be reasonable, because if you do it that way, you're more likely to succeed. And then when you get to your start date, like the first or Monday, when that day arrives, because you've already been doing a few things to get back on track, you only need to add a few more, and it doesn't feel that dramatic of a step. So I would encourage you to find something like that and get started right away on your goals. All right, so what is the plan here? I have a plan for you to take action on your goals. And so it starts with picking that date. So you need to draw a line in the sand and say, this date, I'm going to start getting back on track. One of the reasons why getting off track becomes so detrimental is that we go on vacation for a week, and a week of off track eating is not a big deal. What ends up happening is that we don't get back on track when we get back from vacation. We don't get back on track after the holidays. That 1 week turns into a few months. This week turns into another week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And that's where we see that we get so far off track that we actually have to like start over again. So really picking that date, putting it in your calendar, booking it out, and having it as a visual reminder that that's the date and knowing it's coming really helps put the brakes on. So that's where you would start. And then after that, you should, like I was saying before, you should think of something you can do right now to kind of get you in that frame of mind that the date is coming. So if you can take an action on something like start practicing mindful eating, eat slowly, eat to 80%, that's going to help you a lot because it'll be a lot easier to add a few more things after. So the next thing you want to do, you've picked your date. You want to book a planning session with yourself and block it off in your calendar, just like an appointment. And at that planning session, you want to do 4 things. You want to plan out 4 things, which are sort of like core, basically the time commitment and the action commitment of getting back on track. The first thing you want to do at your planning session is you want to book out the date and the time for your kitchen clean out. Make it permanent, because once you put it in your calendar, you're going to book your kitchen restocking right after it. So you're going to pick that date and time for the kitchen clean out, pick the date and time for the restocking. I suggest doing it on a weekend and doing both at the same time, because you can order your groceries on delivery while you're cleaning out your kitchen, and then there's your restocking food. It arrives while you're cleaning out, and so you don't have this like gap in your cupboards. So yeah, after that, book your appointment to do your prep cooking. Get back into the routine of that. If you like to prep cook once a week or twice a week, it doesn't really matter as long as it's done, because some people, I think it just comes down to like what your preference is on leftovers. If you like to eat them for 4 days or 3, or if you would just want to prep dinners or prep lunches. So book out your prep cooking time every week as a reoccurring appointment so that it's in there. And then the next thing is your activity, so your workout. So book an appointment with yourself on the day you're going to start. Book it in your calendar, on your phone, or write it in, and have that reoccurring Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. Just book that out. And I have put together 2 weeks worth of 15-minute exercises that I'm sending you with this after this presentation. You can book those out in there at 20 minutes. And then your strategy basically would be to go from 15-minute workouts, bump it up to 30 minutes, then 45, then an hour. So do it gradually, again, because our like schedules and times are like a vacuum. Like when you stop doing something, it backfills immediately. It's like trying to dig a hole in the beach, so you dig a hole and then more sand comes in. And that's the thing, like you stop working out and then immediately you're like, where did I get that hour from anyways? And so the same thing happens in reverse. You will find it really hard to just say like, okay, on the first, I'm working out 1 hour every day. That may not be the most reasonable plan, and you may feel that stresses your schedule so much that you stop working out again. It's okay to start gradually with working out. Carve out 15 minutes, then carve out a half an hour, then 45 minutes, like work up to it. Do what you need to do to make it most successful for yourself in the long run. All right, so you've had your planning session, you've got your plan to get back on track booked out in your calendar. So now it's time to get ready for the kitchen clean out. So that's the date when you're like, all right, back on track with eating. That usually means, especially like after the holidays, that tends to mean stuff has got to go. So it is a kindness to your family to let them know that you have selected a date to do a kitchen clean out, but also people who engage with the other people that they live with about their goals often are more successful because they can be there to support you, and at the very least they won't be working against you. So if you have a conversation that's respectful and honest and say, look, we've gotten off track. I put on like 10 pounds since Thanksgiving and I want to like get ready on Monday the 3rd. And so on the 4th, I'm starting. So on the 3rd, I'm going to clean out the kitchen. But it would be important also to say, do you have any goals? Like, how do you feel like we're eating? And what are your favorite healthy meals? I'll be sure to buy your favorite healthy meals. I'm thinking of throwing out the pies and the cookies and the cakes. Do you want to save some of those? Can we agree on like your whole kitchen doesn't have to have processed food over it. If your kids or your partner wants to have some crackers or chips or something, that's their preference. But maybe you can agree upon like, okay, this cupboard is the processed food cupboard, or this shelf is the processed food. And so that goes there, and then everything else is whole foods. Something like that. I think it's really important with kids too to ask them like, what are their favorite healthy meals, and make it fun. I think that probably the hardest thing to do would be to just try and eat healthy by yourself and cook double meals. That gets old real fast. So trying to engage them in that. And to be honest, like if you can get up to like 2 or 3 healthy meals a week, that's fine, because the rest of the day you're only eating for yourself. So that's your lunches, your breakfast, your snacks. You can manage those as lean or as healthy as you want them to be. So now that you've had that, conversation, and you kind of have gauged like where everyone's at with a kitchen clean out and with getting on track with healthy eating, take some time and make a quick dinner menu. So it doesn't have to be complicated. just to get back into it, just go with simple things that you know that you like. So, tacos. I love tacos. They're so easy. Crock pot tacos or, homemade pizzas, grilled chicken, baked chicken strips with, again, you can phase it up. So maybe you start with baked chicken strips and tater tots, and then move it up to mashed potatoes, and then level it up to roasted potatoes, and then finally you're at the sweet potato. I don't know. So again, finding these happy mediums, working towards them, but making that plan. Like, what are we doing for dinners? Getting that booked. Now you have your dinners list ready. You have your ingredients. Sit down and make your grocery list for your restocking. That will include those dinner ingredients plus your own protein and vegetables for the week, and make your plan. Order them for pickup or delivery, and then you're ready to go. So after you have all that done, you're ready for your kitchen clean out. So the day arrives and it's time to say goodbye. So I have seen some funny things, like people having to have a one final bite of everything that they're going to eat. Like they'll never eat it again. You will eat it again. It's a kitchen clean out for a reboot. It's not like a swearing off of food forever. So um, you know, if you want to have a last bite of everything you're throwing out, be my guest. It's not a big deal. But just, know that you can have those things again. They can come back. It's just, I mean, I'm sure they'll be back next December because we often have just events in our lives that bring unusual food back into the house that we don't normally eat. So it comes in, we decide how long or how much we want to eat, and then we get rid of it again. So it's a cycle. It's not a big deal. But go about it the way you want. So do your kitchen clean out, restock the kitchen. Try to do that either on or before or the day before your next prep cook day, and then prep cook all your stuff so you have it ready to go. And then also another important part of the reboot is raising that awareness, bringing the nutrition that and exercise back into like a priority, because usually what happens towards this time of year is that those types of goals, they get deprioritized, and that's normal. This time of year other priorities come up. Now to bring them back into your top 5 to 3 priorities for a health goal, you'll want to get into the habit of maybe tracking some of that stuff again. So on the day of your chosen reboot, get a tracker ready to go, something digital if you want, or a paper tracker, anything like that. You can do photos of what you eat, and just start tracking for the rocks. Are you hitting the protein target? How are you doing on vegetables? How are you doing on processed food? How many times a week are you eating takeout? Like those types of things, and then review them at the end of the week and just go incrementally better as you get further and further back on track. So tracking and then making adjustments as needed is going to be a really big deal. And then once you're back on track, you can ease off the tracking. Maybe you only track a few days a week. Maybe you don't need to track at all because you're back to results, and tracking is for troubleshooting. So rebooting our health habits is a troubleshooting technique. So you only need to do that when you're not seeing results. Okay. And then the other thing is with the workouts, if you're doing the workouts I programmed that I'm sending you, they're only 15 minutes long. Eventually you'll need to get back. They're meant to get you a good sweat in, be really convenient so you can block out that time. But eventually you will want to get back into the workouts of like 45 minutes to an hour to maximize your, exercise. So I would say during the 2 weeks, figure out what you want to do for programming after that. If you want to take the workouts I give you that are 15 minutes long, do them for 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks, double them, like do 2 back to back. You can do that too. So that would get you up to a half an hour. So at that point, maybe you will find something that you like to do and something that you are working out at home. Or if your gyms are open, you can get back to your gym and classes. All right. So that is basically the plan to reboot. And I put at the end, you can repeat as needed because yes, you may need to reboot again if you have a vacation coming up soon, if you have a gym injury, if you have any type of schedule change that takes you off your schedule. This is basically rebooting our health habits generally means getting back into our schedules. So you can use this anytime you get off your schedule. All right, so that is the end of my session. I'm gonna send you these items, so you'll get the webinar recording, the workouts. I have all of these items for a kitchen rescue kit. So I have like a whole guide on prep cooking, a guide on building meals that have like the protein and the vegetables built into them, and then a shake guide. So I'm sending that to you guys. And we have I saw some questions come in. So let me grab that. Actually, let me stop sharing for a second. Oh, okay. So Jen asked the question, how do you stop your husband from buying so much junk food? Okay, so at some point, usually you have to have like a negotiation, and that takes some communication skills, but it's basically if you have a family member who is not on board with eating healthy, you can go about it two ways. You can either try to get them on board with being healthy, which in that case, you should play the long game. Or you can advocate for there to be a space for that junk food to be. So, maybe if it was my husband, I'd say, hey, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get healthy. You have junk food like all over the kitchen, and it's really hard for me because it's like an environmental cue to eat it, and I want to eat it, of course, but I also want to eat healthy things. So, can we agree that this cabinet and shelf is yours? And can you put all of the junk food in that one cabinet? Okay, because we are really sensitive to our environment. So if you can just collect all the junk food into one area, and in your mind everywhere else is all the whole foods and the healthy foods, sometimes that is enough. Like you really like it like respects their preference. Okay. I played the long game with my husband, and it took me like 4 years to get him to even care at all about nutrition. And it took me, I want to say 7 years to get him to start working out. Now he loves it. Now he eats healthy. He's all kinds of ridiculous. He's prep cooking. That took me a couple years to get him to prep cook his lunches. And but it's not like preaching at them or like scolding or anything like that. It's just kind of like subtly talking about how great you feel or how much energy you have or how happy things make you and be like, "Oh, are you feeling tired? Have you tried eating vegetables? Oh, you don't feel like your back hurts? Have you tried doing any stretches or sit-ups? Come and do yoga with me." Like those types of things that engage people so much better. Um, a lot of guys don't really care about nutrition because they don't like need to. I think there's different values there, but I think starting with negotiations and just like saying, "Here's what I need. I recognize what you need, and I feel like there's a way where we can both get what we need." What do you think? That usually like kind of helps get the ball rolling. So if you guys have any other questions, you can pop them in the Q&A. But I only saw Jen's there. So don't think we have any other questions. Let me just check. I have something in the chat. Janice, non-GMO. Yeah, so if things say non-GMO, watch out for those health foods that are labeled non-GMO. Still always read your nutrition labels. If you guys, I did a recent session on reading nutrition labels. Just real quick, if you didn't know, last year, well, this year still, January 2020, nutrition labels got a makeover. And they started adding this extra line called added sugars in it. So now you can see if foods you buy have added sugars. And January 2021 of this, or January 2020 this year, that was a requirement for companies that had over 10 million in sales a year. So those are the big companies. Now, starting next week, January 2021, the label rules are expanded to all food companies. So very small food companies now have to identify in their nutrition labels if they have added sugars or not. So I would encourage you to start, reading your nutrition labels now because there's new information on them, and you might find that enlightening. And let's see. Okay. So that's the end. Let me Get back here. Where am I going? Okay. All right. So here's where you can find me if you want some more coaching sessions. I'm on social media. If you have any direct questions for me, you can email me. I have new client onboarding January 15th. I have an email coming out about that. Obviously, coaching one on one is just extremely personal and customized service that can't really be scaled effectively and still maintain that level of service. So I can never have 100 clients. I'm not a gym, and so I only take on new clients twice a year, and then in between then I will take on clients by referral only. So January 15th will be my next time for taking on new clients. So I'll send some info about that. But that is the end. All right, let me get that down. So let me see here. Having some tech issues. Okay, there. All right, well, thank you guys all for coming. And we're under an hour. So you have the rest of your afternoons to yourself. Make healthy choices, get back on track, make a plan, and have a wonderful new year. I'm very excited to be starting 2021. I'm sure you guys are too. I will see you all later.